King of Drag is a campy and charming celebration of drag kingery, and I am beyond here for it. For years, fans of televised drag have been calling for these competition reality shows to bring in drag king representation because there are, quite frankly, a lot of them around the world and they don't get spotlighted on shows very often. And here it is, hosted by Reverie, a free queer streaming app that you can subscribe to avoid the ads, but I didn't even find them that oppressive, where we have 10 drag kings who have to flex their muscles, machismo, and magic to win the crown, a year's supply of makeup, $10,000, and get to headline the King's Ball in Seattle, which is all a pretty big prize package for season 1. Murray Hill is our host and guide, and I honestly am so here for him being here. I really enjoyed his presence in Drag Me to Dinner, so seeing him on another show brings me a lot of joy. He's a familiar face, he's got good energy, I love his timing, and I love the way that he pulls faces. This cast has a lot of representation, not only from culture, but also age, gender expression and identity, and even the types of drag that they brought in to be represented. And that brought me a lot of joy. If you are new to this channel, I typically review RuPaul's Drag Race, but I am totally here to talk about this amazing Drag King competition because I think it needs some more eyes on it, and I hope that y'all will go check it out. The pool of drag kings around the world is frankly a lot smaller than I think the drag queen pool is, because the RuPaul's Drag Race boon has birthed hundreds of thousands of baby drag queens who are hoping to get their spot in entertainment, maybe even get spotlighted on the show. And that boon of femme drag artistry is really high right now. And I think this show has every possibility of doing that exact same thing for more maybe masculine identifying or presenting drag. And because that pool is small, a lot of these kings seem to know each other, which is very refreshing energy from what I'm normally used to. A lot of them have worked with each other or they followed each other online, and the camaraderie is really special. I love how tight-knit they all are, how much joy they have to be there and to be able to express their art and their talent in front of an even bigger audience than what they're normally used to. This is going to be only a 6-week celebration competition. And that's nuts. 6 weeks is so short, but I understand this is a pilot season, so we gotta make it quick and do what we need to do, and hopefully it sticks. However, that competition is not nearly as fast as the mini and the main challenges, which were called Weenie and Beefy challenges. The kings start out by doing a sports-themed photo shoot where they have to do like a baseball card. I remember collecting baseball cards as a kid, and there were always these really dynamic poses, and the kings had to capture that energy of those dynamic poses while also infusing their own drag sensibility into that. I thought a lot of them did this quite well. They got a pool of supplies that they could dig out from, and all of it was a little low budget, but that's okay. It's only season 1, so I'm trying really hard not to be critical or judgmental. It looks like most of the budget went into the man cave, which is their workroom, and a lot of the other budget did not go to costuming or props this week. From this challenge, 2 kings are selected as the winners. Those are Charles Galen King and King Molasses. And I appreciated that the panelists are there to choose the top 2. It allows for very consistent through lines throughout the entire episode. Some standouts initially, just from what we saw in the man cave for me, and the little mingling that was happening. I liked Tuna Melt. I was really disappointed that he was the first one out because I liked his persona both in drag and out of drag. They had great energy, and I loved how much they celebrated their culture and their background and who they are. Dick Von Dyke might be one of my favorite drag names I have ever heard in my entire life. And their confidence is, dare I say, kind of sexy. As someone who is exclusively and only attracted to males, Dick did something that tickled my brain that I got a little confused, because I know it's art, but I got confused. What I think Susie Toot is for the lesbian community of Drag Race fans, I think Dick is going to be for many gays of the fandom of this series. He's really charming, he's charismatic, and he's got this like 90s heartthrob vibe about him that I really like. And King Molasses is a big deal in the drag scene according to everyone in the room. I will admit, I have not followed the drag king scene as closely as I have to drag queens that are out there in the world. I will start now paying more attention because this has got me excited. And I think that he absolutely filled the big shoes that he felt he needed to step into this week. And then the Beefy challenge, which is the main challenge, is to get into 2 groups of 5 and perform as boy bands in a halftime inspired number. Sports. Seems simple enough, right? Wrong. They have to write, record, and choreograph everything. Come here. In 90 minutes. What the actual hell? This is very early season competition reality show. It is very Boulay Brothers Dragula season 1, where they were recording everything in that bar in like 4 hours and pumping out an episode and being like, we did it. They have to squeeze so much content in here, and I imagine that the budget just didn't accommodate for 1 day of writing and choreography, and then day 2 is presentation. I would have preferred that because then all the kings could have changed their costumes and touched up their makeup. Because by the end of this episode, a lot of them were looking like they had been in it for a long time. They all looked great still. I personally would have been feeling the pressure on that. Like, a camera's looking at me, and this is crusting. Our 2 teams are the green team and the blue team, which they named themselves the Bromosexuals. This goddamn name was crazy. And the blue ballers. Teehee. I love nothing more than how much drag kings lean in to the dickery and the penisery of drag names, puns, and all of that. You will always find some drag king that's named like Low Hangers or Wang for Days. But rarely do you meet a drag queen that's like named Pussy Galore or like Titty Window Babs Couture. You very rarely meet drag queens with these overt sexual names, but drag kings love to talk about dicks in their names and in their branding. I love it. The costuming budget was clearly whatever the production assistants could grab from the Party City or whatever craft store was nearby, because they had flat color hats, vests. What? I felt bad. I won't lie. I wish that they had just been able to bring their own stuff or get a costuming change or something. Big season 1 budgeting. But overall, I was very impressed with what both groups put together in such little time, because if I had 90 minutes to come up with a verse and perform it, I would probably have just walked out. I would have been that girl from Top Model. I would have been like, I can't take the pressure of it. I'm going home. And then clomped my way out of there in my flat sandals. And so because of the constraint of time, I don't want to judge this too harshly, but I'll give some of my highlights and some of my biggest criticisms. I was less impressed with the green team than I was with the blue team. I felt that the green team blocked oddly. They didn't really seem to match each other's energies or be able to pick up where other people were weaker in order to lift them up and make them stand out in more of a positive way. And the unfortunate reality is that Alexander sort of steamrolled everybody because he's so good at performing and dancing and didn't really help, I think, some of the others catch up. Which there's only so much you can do in a competition. But I think when most of your group are struggling, you kind of have to figure out how to adjust your energy and their energy so you both meet in a nice cohesive place. A lot of the green team were stiff, like Charles, who was dancing around like somebody's funny gay uncle, and Buck, who was moving around like it was 6 drinks into karaoke night, and poor Tuna Melt folded under the pressure and forgot half of his lyrics. Probably more than half. But Blue Team did the freaking thing for me, man. Molasses and Pressure had this swag about them that is so undeniable. It's one of those things, you're either born with that or you don't have it. It's very hard to learn that natural charisma that just comes out of you. And those two have it. They drew me both into their performances in a spectacular way that made me feel safe watching them, that didn't make me feel like I was slowly recoiling into my body and wanting to die. Perka and Henlo were very funny to me. I kind of understand Perka's bottom placement because technically he was the weakest of that group. But I thought he made up for it in his comedic route. I thought his line, "Don't judge me, I'm just a cancer," was really funny. And I liked his overall presence, even if it wasn't the strongest. And unfortunately, I do think he's slightly out of his depth here. He keeps bringing up his anxiety and how worried he is about everything. And as someone who is an anxious girly, I understand. But you cannot let your fellow competitor see you crack. I mean, look at Big D, who is also really feeling the pressure because they are the oldest competitor. They were picked last. They're feeling underrated, outcasted, and othered, but they managed to push through all of that and still rise up and manage to break the top 3. Henlo is a weirdo, and I love their creature drag. And I love this thesis of being this creature who's trying really hard to fit in with humans. I think it provides a strong avenue for navigating challenges because you don't have to be technically precise every single time. You can be funny. You can fumble your way through something as long as you pitch up the character, and I think that Henlo did that. Was it technically the strongest? No, kind of in the same way Perka's was. But they both had character in spades, and that's what I really want to see in drag. But overall, I think this was a fun way to start out the season. Very camp. The kings are all judged individually, and Pressure, Charles, Dick, and Buck are all called as safe. In my humble homosexual opinion, I think there were 3 clear standouts as the tops and 3 clear standouts as the bottom. In my opinion, the tops were very clearly Molasses, Pressure, and Dick, with Molasses being the winner for me because I thought that his presence not only in the number but also during critiques just emulated power and strength and confidence, and I love to see that. And my bottoms were Buck, Charles, and Tuna. All the judges felt like Alexander and Big D were in the top 3, and they felt that Perka and Henlo were among the weakest, which I didn't totally agree with. I didn't think that Perka or Henlo deserved bottom placements this early in the competition. Maybe they didn't want to say this group was the strongest cohesively and this one wasn't, so this group is low and this one is high. Especially if there may be more group challenges coming along the way, they might not want everyone to only want to work with blue team. Unsure. Molasses is the winner of this first challenge, and I completely agreed. I think he deserved it. And this also bolsters his own personal storyline of wanting to step into these big shoes that already exist from his background and prove that he is that king that everyone knows him as. This was great on one, a competition level, but also personal narrative-wise. The bottom 2 are Henlo and Tuna. I get why Tuna was here, but personally, I would have put maybe Buck in this position. And if it was just this 3 that I could choose from, I would have picked Perka to be in the bottom 2, simply and only because Perka seems super unconfident in just about everything they're doing, from being in the man cave to being on the stage. And so I would want them to sort of wake up and be in the bottom 2, prove that they deserve to be there, and then maybe they'll wake up next week. The elimination challenge for this episode is a breakdance battle. Can I just say that was wild? Neither one of them really breakdanced at all. They sort of just bopped around to beats until it was all over. But they were having fun, and that's all that matters, I guess. The judges' live vote, which I really lived for because then there's no inconsistent dissonance of why did that person get chosen over that one. There's no margin for error whatsoever. I also really loved how the judges introduced themselves by also explaining what it was they were looking for from this challenge. It sets up expectations before it even starts on what they're judging and what their parameters are based off of. If this show gets renewed, and I hope to God it does, I would love to see this part of the production, this part of the competition make it to the final edit, because I think it's important for us as the audience to know what it is that they want from the show. There are plenty of times that I, as an audience member, look at something like RuPaul's Drag Race or even Dragula sometimes, and I wonder, what is it that you guys are basing these critiques off of? What is it that you were looking for that you didn't see? Because from my perspective as a viewer, I thought they did what the challenge was. So if someone like Sasha is looking for maybe not the most technically precise verses, but someone who performs really well and has a lot of confidence, I'm sort of plugged in to what she wants from it, and I don't have any questions on why maybe she picked someone to be high or low, or why she voted one way or another. And Tuna, unfortunately, is the very first one to be eliminated. I really liked him, I liked his drag, and I liked his personality outside of that character. But they did this really cute, what they called a dubbing ceremony, where everybody comes onto the stage and they throw flowers and they get knighted, so to speak, called a official king of drag, a part of this family, and then sent on their way in what I felt was really special. And it felt much more celebratory, more familial than the typical, all right, get out of here, ho, that reality competitions typically do when someone is eliminated. And especially on Drag Race, when they're crying black mascara that's running down into their chin and running off stage because their dreams have been shattered. This felt so much more special and kind. And that's really the thing that I feel about this whole production, is that everything feels kind. Even if the budget may be a little low, they're doing their best to uplift each other and make everyone feel like they are a part of this group and not like someone's just a filler king meant to go home early. And there are only 5 weeks left of this competition, which is insanely short, but of them, these are the ones that are standing out to me. I really like Dick. There's a joke there, probably. I love Molasses, and I think he's just got this it thing that I want to see from a drag performer. I like Henlo, I think that he's cool, but I wonder if the judges will celebrate and understand the POV as the weeks go on. Pressure and Alexander both seem like huge competition, and I'm wondering how they are going to branch out and express themselves in the coming weeks. I'm excited to see what they're going to do. There are a couple that are off my radar right now simply because they just have not given a lot so far. I think Big D is one of those. And I think that Buck is another one. So I'm interested to see what more they bring in the following week. And I enjoy a lot how this format and the editing style is not revealing to me who the judges are automatically gravitating towards. Like I can usually tell in Drag Race, where I look and I think, that person's gonna get pushed to the finale because they just like them. Please watch this show, please give it a chance. It is so fun, and there's only 6 weeks. It's camp, it's funny, it's earnest. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you would like to see more of my reviews of this, and if you like Drag Race, there are weekly reviews that I drop. If you would like to support the channel in a different way, you can join the Extravaganza Extra Members program right down by the subscribe button, which is a small monthly fee where you can watch a couple of the videos that I post fewer days earlier than everyone else gets to see them. Make sure to tell me in the comments who you are rooting for and who you see going to that finale. Thank you for watching, and I will see y'all on the flip.